In this video, I've been persuaded to show you some of my stills. I don't get the chance to show you many of my still photographs very often, but also put a little bit of flesh on the bone as to why I took these photographs and what was in my mind and what I was trying to achieve, because they've all got a bit of a story. So join me and let's have a look at some of the photographs I've taken over the time, which I'm going to let you see here. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you here once again. And yeah, I've been persuaded. I don't like particularly showing my photographs. I'm a strange sort of photographer. People say, well, surely take photographs to show the people. Well, I don't. I take photographs because I'm commissioned to by people. I take photographs because I find something interesting. And I find well that a lot of people won't find my subjects interesting at all. So they become very personal. And also, although I've been professional in the past and I've done photographs to order, and I think I was very good at doing what I did, I was very narrow in that. And I've never claimed to be a great photographer. And one of the problems on being on a platform such as YouTube is people will see them and they'll all become critics. So please, this isn't meant for critical explanation on this. This is just purely what I've done photography-wise. A few of the shots which they may not be the best shots in the world, but they have a meaning. And I'm going to concentrate on some of the people shots. I've got tens of thousands of shots of people. I really have probably hundreds of thousands of shots of people, because I used to do an awful lot of school photography, which is very samey, and military photography, very samey. So you get, 1,000 photographs of different people, but in basically the same pose and the same background and the same foreground and everything. So they're not particularly inspiring, but they do save something in history and time of little Johnny or little Jenny. So let's have a look at some of the people photographs. And I'm going to keep on looking down here because I'll have to put the photos in afterwards. But some of the things that I'm really... these are noteworthy ones for something in my mind, either because I did them for a commission and they were published, and there's a few of them that have been published here. Some of them because I just thought that they were interesting shots. Some because they're really just happy shots. So let's start. I'm going to go through these photographs now. I'll describe them as I go. But first of all, I'm going to do one with a photo shoot I did for my friend Andy. And the thing on this was he's a folk and pop entertainer. So he does an awful lot of the sort of similar things to me, 60s, 70s. But an awful lot of Celtic music too, and acoustic music, very much into the folk music scene. And we wanted to get something of his essence in these photographs. So these were taken in Carlisle. We decided to do the shoot. We did use strobe photography. We used, I think it was, these were done on a Canon 7D. So it was an APS-C Canon camera. These were done down by the viaduct in Carlisle. And they were shot with a handheld but remote triggered flash, remote trigger from the top of the camera, but handheld, which I think we're using Canon 340, I think the model number is, flash, 340 Mark II or 3, something like that. It's a long time ago since I did anything Canon-wise. But the brief on this was to try and get something which looked, in the end, almost as if it was an exaggerated caricature of the person. Something which almost looked like it was a semi-painted piece rather than a pure photograph. And what I decided to do is I took some shots which I thought were characteristic of him. So let's start off with the first one. And we've got a picture of him, which is him holding the guitar cases. One for his guitar, one for his mandolin. The leather bomber jacket was Andy's idea. The scarf was mine, if I remember right. But Andy always wears a hat. He has a hairline which suits hats, shall we say. And that slight growth, that slight growth of the beard, he was going to shave it off, but we decided not to, because it does give something of a rugged look to the shots. And what we wanted to do was avoid the smiley at the camera shots, the big cheesy grin sort of thing. Almost shown him as a travelling musician rather than necessarily a nice comfortable musician who sits in studios all the time. So this first one, which we can see, it's Andy with a couple of guitar cases looking somewhat into the distance. And again, I think it's a good pose on this one purely for the fact that it shows that sort of traveling musician bit. It puts a little bit of motion into it by him standing and looking as if he was going to be moving on somewhere, and almost the nomadic sort of style of traveling folk musician. We tried a couple without glasses on. He normally wears glasses. Generally, they didn't work out well because he lost some of his character. Everybody knows him for wearing glasses. So by taking the glasses off, sort of got rid of it a little bit. But the idea of just looking back with a slight grin on his face and the guitar slung across his shoulder, I thought was really good. It's not one of the best shots in it, but I thought it was a really good shot. The one holding the guitar forward, we were thinking about that could be used very much as a press shot, something to stick in the local newspaper if we got some form of break or an article written on him. And we thought that was quite a good press shot. Putting the emphasis on the guitar, using a very wide angle lens to get some real sort of distortion in the depth there, so that he looked a long way away and the guitar was prominent in it. Filed guitar as well, which is made in Cumbria, handmade in Cumbria. So, and he's very proud of the filed guitars. I think he used to actually be some form of rep with filed, but they are a beautifully handmade guitar. We tried a couple of shots in monochrome, and I'll just put these ones up as we go. And these were basically just the colour shots were taken, just put into monochrome. So we've got a couple of them here. I particularly like the one where he's looking with particularly tight on the face here. Quite high contrast. Again, looking in the distance, trying to avoid looking directly at the camera. But that black and white shot there where you can just see the corner of the guitar peeping up, but the hat and the look on his face and that sort of glancing into the distance I really liked. The other ones are the black and white. Well, they were fair enough, but we're getting now onto some of the colour ones that we took. And you'll see what I mean about these. If we start off with the one where he's looking to his left, but the wall behind is extremely green, and the greens and browns are very prominent. These were shot as high definition shots, HDR shots, and you can go a little bit overboard on HDR sometimes, but to me it was what we needed to be able to get that emphasis on the almost painted on look. So this was that strobe light. You can see the strobe's really highlighting the face on this. Strobe light from the right hand side. I think we'd actually used a small stand, and it was windy that day, but we managed to keep the light upright properly. And again, it's not looking at the camera, it's deliberately looking away from the camera. And the green on his t-shirt, he does a lot of Celtic music and Gaelic music, so of course the green with the Irish tie works really well. But again, it's the brown leather hat and the denim and the flying jacket, the sheepskin flying jacket, which works really well, and the scarf in between. I think they're all nicely complemented, but bringing out that real green on the walls. The more squared off version of the same sort of shot. Facial expression I don't think is as good on this one. It looks it's got a bit of a miserable look rather than the one previously had something of a hopeful look on it. But this one does look a bit dour, but that's also a good thing in itself, because it tells a story that, you know, the musician isn't necessarily the happy smiling face that you see all the time performing. Again, I love these shots. I think they really worked well. One of the things we didn't realize at the time though, and it was a mistake which I missed, but I actually, in reflection, I think it works really well. There was a yellow guitar strap on this, and you can see the yellow in it. It stands out a little bit, but it does complement into the green colours, the almost primary colours that you've got with the green, the blue jeans, and the yellow on there. And again, I love this. Emphasised a little bit on the exposure on the face. That's fine. But again, what it does is it brings out the facial hair, I think, and shows a little bit of a character in the face. And again, with using a single point flash gun, I don't even think that we used any sort of softbox on it. If we did, it was a small softbox, and it was quite a distance away. So you're getting quite a hard light. And Andy's about 10 years older than me, so that makes him, and he's probably in his mid-30s now, he said. But basically, you know, Andy's about 10 years older than me, and gents tend to get a little bit of a lived-in face, and by using quite a hard light, it does give that impression. It does show the more cragginess of the facial features. And that's not meant as an insult. It's just obviously we do tend to get our faces changed a little bit, and I think that really works well on this one. Again, as I said, we did some monochrome versions. The last one I'm going to show you is the one where he's actually looking from the opposite side with the guitar just perched on his knee, and he's looking from here from right to left, which is the opposite way to where most of them had been done. But I rather like this one. I like the vertical format. I think it suits this sort of shot, but again, it's got that slightly overemphasized HDR look, and I think that worked really well. It does nicely show the grain of the guitar. In fact, a few of these photographs show the nice grain on the guitar. But I think overall, looking at this photograph, it's what I wanted to achieve. It has that sort of thought-provoking look on his face. The musician who's contemplating their own situation. Are they going through a downtime? Are they thinking of the lyrics for the next song they're going to write? It's all those sort of pictures which come into it. And that was February 2018 we took these shots. And I'm really quite pleased with them. They worked well. I think Andy quite liked them because he used them on a few things. So these were good shots for both of us. So we keep on the music theme now. There's a couple of shots I've got here of a guy called Lee, colleague of mine, who does an awful lot of playing organs, and he wanted just some shots for Facebook and things that he could use and to stick into emails and things. And we did two types of shot. We did a high key shot where it was really white background. We wanted to incorporate the keyboards, the organs, but they're not the easiest of instruments to incorporate in when you're doing a shot of a person. So we tried some high key ones. He particularly liked the high key finish. I like the low key. I really like the black sort of finish we have on these. And on the two shots that I've brought out here, again, on the one where he's leaning with his, at an angle on the keyboard, I rather like this. It is quite a harsh light because what I wanted to do is to get a lot of light on the face, so the light was close in and fairly high powered on that. But it meant that we didn't have the light on the background. The background went all to black. There was a black backcloth behind this to get the low key, but I really wanted to allow the light not to get onto the back, so we got a good black background. But I also wanted to highlight the keyboard to a degree, so that flash on the from the left was done through a softbox, but we flagged it a lot to stop it getting to the background. So we had a softbox at about 90 degrees to Lee's face and body, so it was coming on very much from the side, but not illuminating the back. But what it did have the effect of was showing up the front of the keyboard rather nicely, getting the keyboard name to stand out and the wood on that to stand out quite well. So you weren't missing what the point of the photo was. The other one where he's looking straight on, it's one I rather like because, again, you've got a little bit of the keyboard, but not so much. You've got the manufacturer's name. Don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but to me, it did give something of a personality coming through there. There was that self-assured look. He was in his own little place. But when he's with his music stuff, when he's doing his keyboards and he's playing the organ and things, that's his place. And that self-assured look, I think, comes out nicely in this one. Now, before I leave the music bit, I'm not going to do too many on this one. We've got a few videos I'm going to be doing on these. But I did want to draw attention to a couple of other things because I had some photographs taken of me on my camera when I was performing an outdoor gig in the summer. When was it? The summer of July 2015. I was singing with the Border Concert Band, who I've sung with a good few times in the past. And there was a couple of photographs taken of me suited and booted in the grounds of St Cuthbert's Church in Carlisle. It was being done as a special fundraiser. And I just quite liked this. Again, it was incredibly dark. The light had gone quite quickly, so the actual photographs were taken almost in the dark. And it just shows that you can just have somebody pointing the camera and shooting. This was effectively just a normal speed light. Again, the Canon speed light, the 340, which wasn't the fastest of speed lights, on top of the camera. It wasn't doing anything else. It was on top of the camera, so it was shooting straight on. Something I I detest doing normally. I don't think it's really good light. But I'd given it to a colleague and I just said, do me a favour, see if you can get some photographs of me, because I struggle to get photographs of me because I'm always the one doing the performing and the photographs. So I want to have some photographs taken. I give him the camera, put it onto the automatic setting so he didn't have to think about it. So this is the camera doing its own setting. And literally, he went out and took some shots with me singing. So there's a few photographs in here. Again, it's because the flash is so harsh, it does give almost a rabbit caught in the headlights look at times, which I don't like, but it did have the effect of getting me to stand out in the photographs and gave something of the performance. So it could have been, for all we know, looking on the photographs, it could have been some sort of fancy stage lighting. It wasn't. It was literally a flash gun. And what I'm amazed on this is actually, as I say, it was really getting quite dark. We did have other lights around the place, but they weren't illuminating much of the ground. But if you look at these, the background is actually incredibly well illuminated. So the camera was doing some amazing things in there, not just with a flash, but with its own exposure to be able to get the background to a reasonable level. Because I can assure you, it was dark. You couldn't really see the background at all. But I just like some of these shots because they're just me singing quite happily, and I'm just doing what I enjoy doing. I thoroughly enjoy performing, and considering it wasn't me taking the photographs, but it wasn't my camera, it was just bliss. I enjoyed it. Now the final couple that we've got is, well, there's a guy who I've seen a few times in Paphos in Cyprus, this bouzouki player, and every time I've seen him, he looks as if he's thoroughly into what he's doing. Quite often has his eyes shut, like you can see in this shot, and he'll be sat out there with a small amplifier beside him, but plays away, and he is totally into his music. Love watching him. He's not a flashy performance, anything like that, but he's just good. He enjoys it. And this one's from 2019, so it's a good few years ago that these were taken. But he's regularly out there in Paphos, or he was regularly out there in Paphos. I haven't seen him in the last year or two. But really interesting guy, and just somebody who's got that expression as if they're enjoying what they do. They're totally engrossed in it. Now the final two, which are the embarrassing ones, of course. You've got to have embarrassing photographs. I was doing some photo. I was asked if we could do some publicity shots for my daughter and me. We were going to do. We were doing an 80s synth pop duo at the time, and this was again January or February 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And I just returned back from Cyprus. I decided I was going to start growing a beard, and I wasn't worried about things like that. I just wanted to be a bit of a rebellious type. And we did this photograph, which I absolutely love. It's not a great photograph. On these, what I was doing is I had the camera set on the side on a tripod and just doing it on a timer. So it was just a case of trying to do something in the back room of the house with a backdrop at the back, and I just set a couple of studio strobes up in there, very, very quick, very quick and dirty. And we just wanted to get some shots that we could get out quickly. We had a gig supposed to be coming up in the April. We needed to get these off to the agent. They'd asked for some photographs with the two of us. This was going to be one of our first gigs, so we didn't have any photographs at all. And it was just a case that we took some photographs, which I haven't put up here, which were the press type photographs, just what you'd expect them to be, two happy smiling faces, one with a guitar, one with a tambourine. But we started getting a fit of the giggles. We started just having a good laugh because my granddaughter was just out of shot. And this was, to me, this is one of the most enjoyable ones. Not because it's a great photo, and I keep coming to this in videos. It's not because it's a great photo. It's because of the story it tells. And to me, the photography is more about the story. And this is that moment in time with my daughter and myself, really enjoying a moment in time, which, you know, which was there. We'd done the photo shoot. We're quite happy we had some shots from it. It was not the most professional things, I say. It was all on 10-second timer. So I'd set the 10-second timer, press the shutter, run back in front, pause, and then have the shot done. But we'd seen a few of them. But my granddaughter was starting to get a bit bored, so she was getting a bit fun just out of shot. And there was something, and I'd love to know what we said to each other. But to me, it's just that magical moment where I'm looking at my daughter and she's looking straight at me, and we were sharing that moment. And this to me is one of the most enjoyable photographs I have of myself and my daughter, because it's so natural. It's not contrived, it's not posed for, it's just us being ourselves. Which brings us to the last one for this video anyway. And again, it's my daughter and my granddaughter, and this is a more contrived one, but you can see she was there. I mean, how old was she then? She was about 4. In fact, she wasn't even quite 4. She was 4 the next month, because it was February 2020. So she was a month off being 4, so 3 and a bit. And you can see she's just a bundle of joy. And we wanted to do a quick post shot. So I had the bass in my hand, had my Hawaiian shirt on, which I'm noted for. That's what I tend to wear when I'm performing. And we'd done all those fancy shots. We just had the good laugh with this, and we said, come on, we'll get you into a proper shot. And we said the fatal words, when you say the fatal words to a kid in front of a camera, said smile. And she did. It's that typical 3-4-year-old camera smile where you say smile and it's switched on. But again, that's part of the personality there. So I hope you've enjoyed these. I've got more to bring you. As I say, I don't particularly like showing my photographs off. A lot of these tend to be very personal photographs, and I don't do them for sharing. I do them for memories. I do them for fun. But some of them that we've done, as I say, the ones with Andy and the ones with Lee were both commissions. And I was happy with the results for them. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing them. If you'd like to leave any comments below, I'd love to hear your comments. I'm not after critiques of the photographs, by the way. That's not what I'm after. But if there is anything that you're interested in about how I took the photographs, please ask in the comments below. But just tell us what you think about photographs for yourself. I will do a couple more of these. I've sorted some photographs out for various little categories. That's also something which I detest doing. You go through piles and piles of photographs, and they never stand out as something you'd like to show anybody else. But I've got a few collections of photographs which I'll be bringing over the next month or two, especially on the run up to Christmas. I'm thinking about doing a few of these during December. If you enjoy them, let me know in the comments below. Do me a favor as well, if you would, give me a big thumbs up, because that helps YouTube's algorithms. But also, I'm so close to 12,500 viewers, so it'll be a 25% increase on my subscription from this time last year when I was in Cyprus. So if I can hit the 12,500 and get the full 25%, because I hit 10,000 last year, I really would be appreciative below. But also, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, I would love that if you could. Now, the other thing is as well, these wonderful people here are my Patreon patrons. And as I say every time, I really do appreciate them and the people who buy me a coffee, because they keep the channel going. Anyway, look out on these things at the side, wherever they are, because these will point you to other videos and to my other channel if you want to have a look at those, and I'd love you to see some of those videos. But until the next time, thanks for watching. Have fun with your photography. See you soon. Bye-bye.